autonomous worlds for quite a while, and I'd love to show them to you. So the outline of the talk today, we are talking about exploring autonomous worlds where we will showcase our awesome dashboards, and I'll tell you how we help developers build great games, and also how we give gamers an edge. We then will talk about Command, our brand new platform for autonomous worlds. We'll talk about how we automate and mod games, and our Indents platform, and our very grand plans for the future. So there are quite a few slides. Let me jump straight in. So exploring autonomous worlds. Isn't all the data on chain? Yes, it is. This is what you see on chain. It's on a block explorer. You see something like this. A block explorers are very helpful for ERC20 transfers and things like that, where you transfer money and all of that. But here, you get to see the raw input. It doesn't make sense. What you have to do is you have to decode the data to make it actually useful. Once you decode it, you get things like this. You get to see things like login player, move. You get to see what action was performed, what the input parameters was. And this opens up interesting possibilities emerge. If we were to index it and store it at scale, we can then create nice tables, graphs, charts, and all of that. And this is an example from EVE Online's playtest. You can see the data and you can compare it with each other. So on a table, you get to see, you compare and contrast. It's much visual representation makes a lot of sense. It gets even better if we make the data game aware. So let me show you an example. What you see here is all the fleet movements within the Primordium universe. And the same data, but this time it's aware of the game. So you can see all the fleet movements. So as a developer, when you look at it, you'll be like, hey, why are these people making these incredible long journeys? And you see like clusters of movement. You also see these massive long trips. And you can then tailor make your game, redesign the game. It's also great for gamers to see what the hotspots are and things. This is one more example. This is a 2D representation of a biome's 3D world. If you look carefully, you might see white spots. Those are the mined ores, and the red ones are to be mined. Again, these are very helpful for gamers and developers alike. So great. We have useful dashboards. One other thing. So on a blockchain, the live state can be queried. So all the work has gone to make the state the consensus is on the state. But what about the history of the state? What if you want to see what happened back in time at a point in time, say a month ago or 6 months ago? Or you want to see like how many players grouped together to fight the battle that they won and whose health was how much at that point in time. So if you want to go back to something in point in time, it's much harder. And that's where Yeomen's time travel indexer comes in. I showed you this morning quickly, but what you can do is, I have a video here. So this is DrawTech. So you're able to move back and forth, and you're able to see what the state of the blockchain was at that point in time. So all of this comes from our MUD indexer. As you click, it generates it pulls all the data from all the different tables at that point in time and gets the data to you. So clicking back and forward on that demo, it got us thinking, hey, what if we clicked forward 1 second at a time, or like match the block speed? And that's where we got the idea for a live replay. So I want to try this. I want to replay the first ever Sky Strife match on Redstone. This was back in May 1st, I think. And I want to do the live replay. Let me check if it works. Okay, it's moved screens. Okay. So yeah, it didn't work this morning, but as it loads, let me tell you what it's doing. So this is loading the state from May, and once it loads, it tries to like replay the game. So you can actually see what the game is about. Okay, it's a blank screen. Give it a minute. So yeah, perfect. So it loads. So what you're looking at is the actual first ever game on Redstone with Sky Strife. You can see Ludens, Ben from West, and proof of Jake, and I think that's Peter Pan. They're battling it out in the first ever Sky Strife game. So this is all from our MUD indexer working with the data. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And So cool. So let me go back and so so I've covered Yeoman for exploration of data. We've discussed the rich dashboards and also the ability to visualize data, go back to time travel capabilities and all of that. I want to move ahead from exploration to action. So this is where we actually make on-chain actions. We had a few questions while we're thinking about Yeoman command. The questions were, how do we extend an autonomous world? And how do we incentivize developers to actually extend autonomous worlds? And how do we give security guarantees to users? We don't want users to go to random websites or download things to actually run mods and automation. So, and also we were thinking of what the mechanisms of interaction between all these various parties would be. So I want to show you Yeoman command, but Yeoman command is a few things. And let me start by the first thing, and Yeoman command is an app store for autonomous worlds. So this is Yeoman command. If you go in there now, you see this. This is a list of, it's a gallery of apps. Each app is a mod or an automation submitted by a developer. You could submit it, anybody could submit it, and they're all listed there. And we have mods and automation for Biomes, Primordium, quite a few other games. And then if you were to click on one, pretty much like what you see on an app store, you get ratings, reviews. There is an explanation of what the app actually does. And you get to see related apps. And also you get to view the code, which is important. You can actually see what the actual thing does. And once you're happy with the app, you click on install. And that's when our sandbox environment for users come in. When you click on install, we tell you, hey, this app is looking for access to this world contract. In this case, it's a Biomes world contract. It's looking to mine, move, jump build. And these are the actions it wants to do. If you feel, yes, it's OK, it's safe, let me install it, you install it. And this is a list of all the apps running on Yeoman command. And you can either stop them, start them, you control them, you uninstall them, all kinds of things like that. There are various apps. There are also apps which send you Telegram alerts each time something happens on chain. And so there are quite a few things, quite a few apps already in there. So an app store with a sandbox environment is already awesome. We can do quite a few things, and we have quite a few. We had a few people testing it. This is Ben from Wacid. His team's actually tested it, and what he says is, Command is a game changer and one of the coolest platforms in the space. It kills the FUD that bots will ruin fully on-chain games by democratizing access to automation and improving the gameplay experience. Bullish AF. So essentially, the keyword here is democratize. So we are able to create a simple interface. Users are able to click on stuff. They're able to mod, automate, and experience the autonomous world in a different way. And everybody gets to benefit. So do you want to build a Yeoman? All you have to do is head to command.yeomen.ai, and then you can get started. It's pretty easy because all the other apps are also open source. You can just go there, click on the fork button. You're able to improve the apps, submit it back to the App Store for other users. They're able to play and all of that, so which is great. And you reach a bunch of users, So what's next for Command? We've learned a lot by building all that you've seen till now, and Command as well. And now I want to really invite ideas, questions, feedback as we think about what's next for Command. So Yeoman Command as an intense platform for autonomous worlds. Now think about this. Say for example you're in Biomes, and you're building a wonder. It's creative work. You're putting that together. And you need 125 stone blocks. So there are two options. You can go in and mine and craft these blocks. That's actually labor intensive. You have to switch off from your creative mode. You'll have to do something else. Or the other option is to go make a physical trip, digital physics apply, and things like that. You'll have to make a trip to the bazaar, go buy it, and things like that. So what do you do? If you don't want to do either of these things, what do you do? What you really need is Deliveroo in Biomes, or some kind of a Grab if you were in Thailand. That's something like a service that would give it to you. And we can't really build this on an autonomous world now because we need an intense powered services layer on chain. And once we have this, we can actually launch services like Uber, bounties, or job boards, and things like that. So let me tell you how an intents platform would work. First, there is the intent. So your intent is simple. It's get 125 stone blocks to me in 50 minutes. You have a clear high-level goal. The constraints are defined as just 4 constraints. I need 125, and the type is stone blocks, and the target is me in this case, and I need it in 50 minutes. This is verifiable and auditable, so you get to see it on chain. And this is permissionless fulfillment, as in anybody can do the job. Anybody can get it to me, and anything is fine. And you can, and again, only the intent is specified. You don't have to specify things like delivery routes or how you get it. You just have to get it to me and get me this, fulfill my intent. And the solvers work to satisfy your intent. And every app on every different world really will have unique intent. So on Kamigochi, you might say, feed my Kami 1 snack every 5 hours, which is a continuous type of an intent. In Cafe Cosmos, you might say things like acquire the land and farm on it, which is again composable. In Biomes, you might say something like guard my force field while I'm away, which is a conditional intent. So yes, intents do vary based on the game. We see 2 kinds of intents really based on the transaction execution: externally fulfilled, which are service requests, and self-executed, which is part of automation. So let me talk about the externally fulfilled intents. So this is an intent that we were just talking about now in Biomes. So as a user, you would broadcast this intent that you want something. Service providers would actually bid in real time. So they say, hey, I'll do it for $150, there are random amounts. And ratings and reviews are based on the past activity. You could actually manually select one, or even let Yeomen automate this hiring process based on your preferences of how you want it to be assigned. And so this is an example of an externally fulfilled intent or a service request. The other type is also interesting. These are self-executed intents. So say, for example, you have a dark forest or a complex game, and you want to find a path from A to B. Now, these are like hard paths. It's not trivial. You broadcast this intent again, and solvers this time around, they compete to find a path, but they don't execute the transaction. They work on a path. They then submit the solution to you to get a payout. If they don't want to give you the whole solution, it could be a ZK proof or something like that. The solvers use off-chain compute. They could be doing AI inferences, complex calculations, whatever. In this case, the actual execution is by you, and the transaction could be crafted by the solver. This is great for automation cases. Command in this case has to verify the alignment with your intent and with what the solution is from the user, from the solver. So great. And this is one interesting concept. Like Yeomen could automate both the service request and an automation. So for example, Yeomen might detect that you're running low on something. It might fire off a service request, and another person running Yeomen would actually run the automation script to perform the task. So command would really power both the Uber driver and the person who's requesting it. So all that could be automated. To achieve all this, we really need an intent standard with an intents platform. And it needs to be effective. We will need a single standardized intent across all the different autonomous worlds. So it should be easy. It should be one single standard. And we enable solvers to compete for the best solution. It has to be a marketplace model. We could also look at things like cross-chain intent fulfillment. We need the intents platform to be intelligent. We'll have AI solvers, and also we need to somehow maintain alignment with these intents to facilitate all the seamless collaboration between humans and AI solvers. And lastly, we'll need it to be responsive. If, for example, you were booking a Grab, you would actually put the request out, and then you can edit it, you can change your destination, you can cancel it, things like that. So these things are also important on an intents platform. So once we have this all working, it's going to be a pretty sophisticated intents platform. So the focus right now is on the top quadrant there. The fully on-chain games are high transaction volumes and low financial risk. Like if you forget to feed your Cami or something like that, the possible loss is minimal compared to like something on a DeFi or a DEX. So it could start as an ideal starting point because it's high transaction. It gets tested, as Alvarius was talking about this morning. We can go into the different stages of making it work, making it fast, making it scale. So we can also increase it from security. So start with something, and then move to more security demanding applications. So yes. In all these points, I'd like to stress that the intent solvers are the real heroes. They're actually the real workers that get things done. So, which brings me to my final aspect of Yeoman Command, which is a solver control and ownership platform. So, as described before, the solvers are the ones that actually do the work, and they create value and they accrue value. So you pay them for the work that they do and all of that. So they will definitely accrue value. The solvers are going to be busy in an on-chain world. It's continuous. It never stops. What do you do at the end of the day after you play a game? Do you log out of an autonomous world? Why not be a gamer by day and a solver by night? I think what the example is, say for example, the vision with Tesla and the robo-taxi is you get a Tesla, you drive it around. When you don't need it anymore, you send it away. It actually takes other jobs. It does other stuff. And then it comes back when you want it. So, if you have a player that's fairly advanced in an autonomous world, you could then send it out to do jobs and things like that. So, which is interesting. This is one of the last pictures here. So, a solver will have different entities running it and behind it. So the key parties are firstly we'll have developers. Developers are individuals that actually build the logic, they put it out there. We will need hardware for these solvers. They'll be running AI inferences or complex CPU intensive jobs. And then you have IP contributors. IP contributors are interesting because you don't have to write long pages of ideas or something like that. We've been in Discord groups where the ideas are very simple. They're like, hey, why don't you mine in a staircase pattern or something like that. Those ideas also are pretty important. And then any system would have to figure out how to compensate these users. And finally, we have external services. For any agentic framework, we'll need access to real-time data and things like that. So, and finally, each solver can be operated as a DAO. So as they get larger and they accrue more value, it can be pretty cool. So that's a glimpse of the future of Command. So back to the original questions that I asked at the beginning. This is how Yeoman Command could evolve to answer these questions. So how do we extend an autonomous world? An app store for mods and automation, along with an intent-powered services layer, could be a great start. How do we incentivize developers? We spoke about the solver ownership model with a single owner or a DAO. The solvers would get paid, and then we would have IP contributors, and they all get paid really with something like a solver ownership model. And how do we offer some security guarantees to users? We spoke about things like sandboxing and intent alignment at the platform level, along with discovery with ratings, reviews to establish trust with developers. And then we will need an orchestration and coordination layer to manage interaction between all these different parties. So yeah, I was asked, like, what is the meaning of yeoman? Yeoman means a dependable, diligent, or loyal worker, someone who does a great service is a part of the dictionary definition. Yeoman, the name is inspired by Yeoman Waters and the Tower of London. They've been tasked with guarding the crown jewels for centuries and things. So yeah, so that's the end of the talk. So thank you so much, guys. Get in touch. This is
Q&A time.
Yes.
Are you the Palantir of autonomous worlds?
Is that a question? Oh,
Yeah. Are you the Palantir of autonomous worlds?
Yeah, we could be. We started as a dashboard system. We want all this data is really on chain. Everything is visible. Unlike Palantir, which probably works on private data that you don't want access to, here everything is on chain. You really publish all the data out. We just put it all together in a usable format for users. Really, that's That's the focus.
All right, and I think this one is, yeah, how can other people add the games they build to Yeomen?
Yeah, there is some work involved in adding a game to the dashboard. So all you have to do is go onto our website. There's a link. If you don't see your game in there already, all you have to do is go to the bottom of the page and say, add my game to the dashboard. We will need a few things like your ABI or something like that, so we know how to index it, what your world contract is, things like that, and we could get started straight away.
All right, so the next question is really funny because it's like, it's kind of just questioning the entire category. It's not even a Yeomen question, but why are autonomous worlds important? Like, why are we doing all this shit? How is this valuable at all?
Yeah, it's great. So, yeah, in my view, we have people here. There is a lot of energy. There's a lot of activity. We're producing a lot of data, and then we could do things like, so maybe this could be the perfect place for an agentic system to take life. Like they polish their agent capabilities, do something. So there's probably a lot that can come out of autonomous worlds. Yeah.
Can Yeomen command run on my browser or cloud?
That's a great question. We've been debating it internally for quite some time. Where should it run? At the moment, Yeomen command runs entirely on your browser. So it's on your device, your keys, your rules, all that is on your device, which is pretty cool for from a decentralization point of view. The only annoying thing is if your laptop switched off or something, like you cannot, it stops running. But on the flip side, like I have Yeomen command running on a remote desktop on a server, and I ran it earlier today. So it does stuff. So you just have to get a remote desktop, like open up a browser, and it could run on a cloud, really.
Okay, so the next question is one I'm also personally very interested in. Go into detail in how intelligent agents that you create can get integrated into these games. How do you bring them into the world?
Yeah, yes. There are a few ways we think about it. First is like an agent. Who owns an agent? Like so, in terms of an agent, who controls it? So I spoke about different owners. So there are people who provide the hardware. There are people who develop it. There's IP. There's quite a few things. So we see those people as the people who control and own the agent, and then like, how do you bring them in? They're already in. They have access to the APIs and things like that. That's how we interact with the world. And that's.
Okay, and I think this is probably the last question. What is your vision for the next 2+ years of Yeomen?
Yeah, so Yeomen's been, it takes time to build a platform like this, and then we've been looking at it for a while. I think everything that I showed you in the first part is all there. We have an app store, and we have a sandbox environment, which is pretty secure. That was our first step. Our next vision is to build the services layer to power autonomous worlds, and possibly beyond autonomous worlds to Web3 as a whole. So it'll take time. It'll take a couple of years probably. And does that answer the question? Was there anything else?
And I think that's it. I think I want to close off by saying, Peter Thiel says that if you want to win, you got to be contrarian and right. The problem with Peter Thiel is Palantir can only run on one world. But over here, we create 100 worlds, and Yeomen runs on all these worlds. So Yeomen its market cap is 100x Palantir. And so Peter Thiel needs to invest.
Oh, cool stuff. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.